in Humanity's
E3
Adventure
with James Carter.
Nintendo then. And starting with Demon Ex Machina. I wasn't sure if it was Demon Cross Machina or Demon. I suppose it could be Kiss Machina, but it is Demon Cross Machina. Sorry, Ex Machina.
Yeah, I was going to say any other time with a Japanese developed game, I'd err on the side of cross, but Ex Machina is a thing. Demon Ex Machina is a take on a Latin phrase. So yeah, Ex Machina makes sense.
You can apparently decide whether to be angel or demon within the way that you play the game.
Oh, right, okay, so that's kind of what that's about. I almost wanted to save this for last because they started out on a bit of a high as far as I was concerned. I was a bit blown away by this.
Yeah, this is a pure belter, and the folks that are involved in it are a little bit scary because I saw the names and I was like, okay, that's names on a list, and then I looked. Then
you start googlings.
Yeah, I looked into it a bit deeper. So producer Kenichiro Tsukada is responsible for Monster Hunter Stories, Armored Core, Blue Dragon, Soul Sacrifice Delta.
99 Nights 2 as well on his list there, yeah.
Mechanical concept designed by Shoji Kiwamori, who's responsible for Macross, Armored Core, and is apparently responsible for the original design of Optimus Prime.
Yeah, Transformer G1 toys he was involved in. And Crusher Joe, I think, rings a bell. I don't really know anything about it, but the name rings a bell at least.
Character design by Yusuke Kazaki, who's been involved in No More Heroes, Tekken 7, Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem Fates, Fire Emblem Heroes, Half Minute Hero,
and Osu Tatake Uenden,
which is
Uenden, a precursor to Elite Beat Agents type thing.
Oh, okay. Music by Junichi Nakasuro and Ryo Hamamoto, who Soul Calibur and Tekken.
And Ace Combat as well, I thought was kind of worth mentioning, just because obviously the mechs in this are flying around like jets.
And director Kanawata and Ken Kurube. Ken Iwata's been involved in Blue Dragon and Monster Hunter Stories. Ken Kurube, Legend of Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly chunky slice of talented people, and I'd love to know why the Armored Core people are now not at From. I don't know if there was some sort of big discussion. It was like, we're going to do this time, and they were like, okay, sure, bye. But it looks super striking. It looks almost like a cross between like Armored Core and there was sort of little bits when I was watching of kind of Nier Automata and kind of a Platinum sort of vibe, and colours super gorgeous.
I almost wanted
Metal
to say
Gear Revengeance, a few people have mentioned as well.
Yeah, definitely. I got that Platinum vibe in terms of Transformers Devastation as well, because obviously they specifically did that, and I also got a little bit of a Gravity Rush vibe, which sounds like a really weird one, but in terms of the art style and the kind of abstract nature of where you are, like it's this just red backdrop, so you've got kind of the hang of your immediate surroundings, but what's beyond that feels kind of intangible, which Gravity Rush does, I would say, well, but I think that was kind of a facet of being on the Vita, and they wanted to make it a detailed world but couldn't deal with draw distance, so made it fairly small areas that we were often kind of dealing with and fighting in. But yeah, it definitely had that kind of, you can zip around on the ground or you can get up into the air and fight that way as well, although obviously Gravity Rush is mostly melee combat, whereas this is all kinds of lasers and missiles and good stuff. Yeah,
and you can fight enemies, and if you don't really like what you're using, you can take the weapon that they've got once you've killed them, or you can just sort of add it to your arsenal, which appears to be this big metal clothing line that goes like right through your shoulders and outwards, and will hold all of your weapons. And there was even a bit in the treehouse bit where you were you were fighting these guys on the ground that were like chasing you, and there was this sort of little red bit in the building which had been cut out by gunfire, and your mech reached in, grabbed a pillar from inside the building, pulled it out, and started using it as a club while the building fell down. I was like, oh, that's really good. And there's also a bit in the treehouse where they showed a boss battle, and this boss is as big, if not bigger, than the city. And it's sort of swiping with this massive sword, and if you're getting like too close with the hand that it's not swinging the sword round with, it will grab you. But the woman sort of there said, because it's got grass on its shoulders, that's how like tall it is. And she was saying like, can I actually land on its shoulders? And they were like, yeah. So if you manage to miss these things, you can sort of land on its shoulders and sort of twat its head. And there's a full character creator in there as well. And it shows in your base when you get back, all the things that line the wall are the weapons that you've picked up. So they provide sort of extra decoration as it goes along. This looks special. Really special. Turned my head massively.
And haven't mentioned yet really the music. It was just one of those where my head was going as I was watching it, really getting into it. They had this weird thing where the music just cut, not in any kind of like sort of finale or flourish. Just cut. The title screen came up, and then the kind of credits card came up, and I was like, I don't recognise any of these names, but they've put these up for a reason. I'm going to have to do some digging. And it was just like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Yep, that one too, and them. It's just, you can see exactly why these people are making this game. Likewise, I don't know when the few of these people who worked on Armored Core left from. It may be they left ages ago, and this just happens to be where they've kind of landed and they're making a game they want to. But that's exciting. If all these people with all this various experience kind of come together making something that they presumably desperately want to make, that they've got a lot of skill in making, and it shows. I mean, and
the bloke who's playing it on Treehouse was double into his own game, and I love to see that when somebody's genuinely excited. And there was a bit where it crashed, and they were talking as they sort of tried to get the build back up and running, and it was really early days and stuff. But he looked really excited to be sitting there and to be sharing this with people, and not even kind of sometimes you can get people and they're just sitting there and they're glum, or they're maybe concentrating on trying to make sure they get all of the feature set, and they show it off well. There's a little bit of nerves. This guy was just really in the moment and loving it and enjoying the questions that were coming in and showing off the different bits that he could do. I think the mechs are all called arsenals, which is pretty good. And honestly, looking at those designs, special edition, please. Stick one of those inside it. I'll be happy.
Can we have Starlink, but this, please? I mean, my first comment as soon as it started was giant, slidey, shooty, swoopy mech battles. I'm absolutely all in on this. I think it looks great. They've just said 2019 at the moment, so obviously not pinning anything down. Dates seems to be an interesting thing throughout this. For as far as I could see, a lot of games got specific release dates, and others got kind of like autumn 2018, and obviously a bit more vague. And then this was one of the notable ones that was kind of into 2019, but not even spring 2019, just really kind of vague next year sometime. Almost everything about this completely grabbed me. I think a Switch exclusive, they said, as well. So I'm pretty sure they said that, and that would mean obviously the only place you can play this is on Switch. That's the note I made when I first watched this, and then today as I was watching the conference again, picked up on that second time. Paddy, how about you?
It looked alright, didn't it? To be honest, right, okay, this is going to sound really not dismissive, but I watched the trailer on the show, and I have not interacted with it one bit since that, and it's been 2 weeks since E3 now? It's been a while. So all I remember is Red and going,
It's only been a week and
white
a couple
robots.
Of days since Nintendo.
It feels longer. It's been like a minute for you because you just watched it today.
Sure.
It's been a good week.
I watched it last week, and I watched a bit more of it today because I was hungry for details to feed the people.
Good. How'd the PC gaming show watch go, CJ? There we go. Do your job.
I'm happy watching stuff like this and finding out more about swoopy, choppy, beautiful mech game and all of its goodness. I'm fine with finding out more of that. Some sort of 9-foot man on stage, like blaring me through another PC game.
You leave Sean Plott alone. He's nice.
To be fair, give him credit. There were only 3 Battle Royale games in that PC show.
Yeah, he did well.
They worked hard to keep it that low.
Avoid the word. Yeah, it looks cool. Like I said, I've not really investigated it further since. But it looks red and white, and one of the only notes I've written is "rarg." I can only assume that meant the music. It's been a while.
The music was great. I thought the music was
deciphering my notes. Rarg. It looks like the kind of game you roar when you play.
It's got genuine character, and I think that we were saying that there were a lot of the games that were coming up, like Dying Light 2 and Metroid Exodus and Division 2, that got a certain sort of look, whereas this you could see sort of a new video of it or a new image, and you'd know exactly what it was. And I think that's absolutely to its credit.
Yeah, for sure. Interested to see and hear more about this. Absolutely, definitely, yeah.
And a genuine surprise as well.
I've not heard anything about this. As far as I know, this wasn't a game that was out there. This was a world premiere to nab Phil's lingo. And Nintendo put it right up front in their direct. They obviously knew what they had on their hands here, because I've seen nothing but positivity and Paddy in reaction to this game. Well, I have to distinguish your response. I can't say nothing but positivity when you.
I'm not saying it's negative. I'm saying it looks cool, but I just haven't been motivated to look any further yet. But I don't have a Switch, so
it will be interesting to see how From's Armored Core game looks in comparison to this, because maybe they are going for a more realistic look with their Armored Core. So, yeah. Because the guy on Treehouse said when he approached his programmers and his designers and stuff, and he was saying, like, we want to go for like a very specific colour scheme, we want to go for something bright, we want to go for something quite striking. He got like a really positive response from it. So I'm wondering if that's kind of where they've divvied outwards. So we still don't quite know what that From Armored Core is going to be, but it must be. I think the point where they announce it can't be too long away from getting released at that point, because they've been upfront about working on it for quite some time.
Who indeed knows? But yeah, nice to have this out there for people who are after a mech game and were expecting an Armored Core.
It's a bit different. It's a bit different, and it stood out.
Lucky. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC, Torn of the Golden Country. Looks to be a new lead character this time, September 2018. And Shulk from the original game looks to be making an appearance in at least one of the modes. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is fantastic. It surprised me how much I've enjoyed the stuff that I've played thus far. It hasn't clicked with me as much as Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is one of my favourite games ever. But it is like super beautiful, and it has that fantastic sort of English dub, British dub, which is great, especially the Welsh lass, who's just marvellous. Yeah.
I have a question.
I thought this looked all right. I thought this looked okay. I was a bit taken aback. Not taken aback. That's probably not the right word. Looked a bit wonky in the graphics at times. I thought some of it looked really, really good, and some looked really, really shit. Was that just the way they'd shot the trailer? Because me and Laura watching it and thinking, that doesn't look very good. That looks really good, and it was a real weird shift. Like, some of the characters were great, and like some of the backgrounds were really, really like naff looking. That was just me. I mean, that's the only real takeaway I took from it, because I don't really have much. I didn't know what I was looking at. Like, things were happening on screen, and I watched them, and it was cool. No attachments, because I don't know what's going on. But yeah, all we could do is kind of look at the visuals and sort of take what we could from them. And yeah, it left us really divided.
I mean, the original game is like super beautiful, and I don't remember sort of too much of the trailer other than, oh right, you know, it's coming. I know it looks to be a new lead character, and then just starting to write things down. And but the original game is like crazy beautiful. I'd say it's one of the most beautiful games I've got of this generation's hardware, because it's got character. And again, I'm all over the dub and the story thus far. So if you can win me over romantically, I'm involved in your game. And the aspect of these sort of giants and living in the clouds and going sort of diving in old school sort of diving costumes into the clouds to try and find lost artifacts and stuff is great. And when the twists start kicking in, they're really good. But it's a beautiful game. It's great.
So my reaction to this was, first of all, there seems to be 2 character designs going on. There's like young, cutesy, wide-eyed, naive-looking characters, and then older Sephiroth-looking characters that are all kind of silver-haired and serious-faced and proclamations about the world, and not an actual Scooby as to what's going on in the story at all. A bunch of different conversations happening. Not a word of it made a lick of sense to me.
Would you argue this was your Vienna of the show?
See what you did there.
Thank you.
I think they were, with it being DLC, they're pitching it directly to
people who already know.
That played the game, and not selling much of the original. I think there was the Flash of Shulk later on, which is obviously appealing to people who played Xenoblade Chronicles. But yeah, a lot of these were brand new characters, so it didn't make a hell of a Scooby to me. It was just more of like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah, I guess tonally and kind of thematically what a lot of it's kind of aiming at.
This is a thing.
Mechs in this one as well, but not as interesting to me as Demon X Machina, simply because I've not played any of the Xenoblade Chronicles games. So yeah.
Can we just staple that comment to the end of everything you say for the end of this show? Not as interesting as Demon X Machina, but there you go.
I mean, it may
going to be a
theme. Although there are some highs in this.
Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of that, though, isn't there? There's going to be a lot of don't really know what's going on. It's not Demon X Machina.
So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Bundling with a Tamagotchi like Pokeball, which you can use in first person mode to capture creatures. If you don't want to use the Joy-Cons or the traditional menu, I think this looks really sweet, and I think it's very clever the way that they're trying to bring the Pokemon Go crowd in with the Switch in the main game. Like the fact that more than one person can play the game at once, and that it's Pokemon on the big telly, which is something that I've wanted for quite some time. I'm going to get this. I must admit, I'm quite taken with it.
Right, so I have some misgivings with this. It's my standard misgiving I have with every single fucking Pokemon release, except probably Go.
Can you stop swearing? Things. Children are listening.
Fuck
They're tuning
them.
in for this bit.
Fuck them.
Hashtag Paddy's wrong.
Paddy was right.
Pokemon, let's go fuck at you.
Look at fuck at you. James.
Oh, I've taken it too far, right? Okay.
James, too much. So, like, it all looks cool. Like, the battle mode looks cool, and the Go transfer is really neat. So, Pokemon you've gone out and walked with your legs to find, you can plug it in. Brilliant. And the Pokeball thing looks... I didn't know what to make of it. Like, it's a ball. You throw around it.
It's not for you, that, is it?
It's not for me, right? Here's my thing. So, you've got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, right? And Let's Go Eevee, right? Can they not just make one game? Could they not just make one game and have it be a thing you choose at the start? Because they not just one time. Just one time. Just make one fucking game.
It's
just
almost,
once.
It's almost like you can make that decision in the shop.
Yeah, but what if you want to do both? What if I want to have Pikachu? I don't know. You've got to buy 2 games. You can't just replay again with the same game.
It's the time-honoured tradition that there's always been with Pokemon games, that maybe you get one and your mate gets the other.
It's a shit tradition. It's a shit tradition. I hate it.
I
hate it.
It's working for them. Clearly, there aren't that many people who are not willing to buy the game until they've sorted this out.
Because they're all mental.
Pokemon seems to be doing all right on
it winds me up. Like,
scale.
It winds me up. Like, if you buy, I don't know, what game have I got with two people in? Resident Evil 5, but you can only pay as Chris. But if you want to pay as Sheva, you got to buy it again, but you got to buy the Sheva version. No, that is wank. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Just make one game. Just make one game. One game. Pokemon Go is the only time they've ever done it.
That would mean there'd be lots of other things in each of those games that you could trade with the person, with your friend that bought the other one.
Or you could just have the game yourself, because you haven't got any friends, and get all the stuff in the one game yourself, without having to go
and a confessional?
Interact with humans. I don't like humans.
Pokemon's not for you, and
it's not. It really isn't.
Speaking of which, the next game we're going to talk about clearly not for you either. If we're talking...
maybe, well, different reasons, but yeah, it gets on my nerves every time, and it is just a me thing. And maybe it's because I don't really play Pokemon, I don't really care, but like the completionist in me would be upset to not have all of it in one game, and they just arbitrarily put, well, these 30 Pokemon are in this one, and those 30 Pokemon are in that one.
It's almost like they're forcing you to interact with other people.
So they're forcing me to do that or buy two games. Both bad options. Options.
You would be buying two games rather than interact with another human being that has got the same game.
Fuck people.
But with a twist.
Well, because they'd have bought the same one. Like, I've got the Pikachu.
I wonder why you don't own a Switch.
It's just...
This niceness... This human interaction,
you mean this comes with two controllers? Why would I want two controllers?
Controllers are too small. They're for baby children. They're for baby children. They're too small for my man hands.
People in the room. Why would I want to carry a little ball that giggles when I press a button?
It's a single-player game. James, what do you think about Pokemon? Now I pissed and moaned for a while.
I can't remember whether it was black or white. I played a couple hours of it and just thought it's not for me. I mean, that's just my reaction to the game.
Did you not buy and try the other version in case it was different?
No, I just took it to CX, sold it and moved on.
See, I was playing not long ago Leaf Green again, and I still found it like super charming. I don't know how that relates to recent stuff because I've not played it, but
you'll notice my reaction was not to lose my mind over the fact that Pokemon sells two versions. Just accept that Pokemon's maybe not for me and move along.
No, no, this is an impression show. I'm allowed to be annoyed.
Of course
with it.
you are. I'm being facetious. Of course you are.
Facetious. I'll facetious all over you. Yeah, it isn't for me. It looks cool. It's just that one decision they keep making. It just winds me up. And all the cool stuff around Pokemon that looks fun. Like, you get a monster, capture a monster, make it better, then breed it and make a different one. This time it has hats. Brilliant. Cool, we got a new place this time. Brilliant. But we're going to section off some of the content. You
can just buy one.
No, you can't. What if I want the Pokemon that's in another one?
Make friends with people.
I don't like people.
You can make friends over the internet and make it anonymous.
You met friends over the internet. One of them's Jeremy Greer.
One of them's you.
It's gone wrong. I think Pokemon isn't for me.
Anyway, if you get a Pokeball Plus, you get a Mew inside. So there you go, folks.
That's looks good. Peripheral lock DLC bullshit.
I think it's incredibly smart for them to release something that is Go associated and can kind of bring those players over towards the RPG without it being.
Oh, that's sensible. Yeah, I won't argue that.
That's full RPG. So
very clever.
I think it's amazing Go has still brought in like a desperately huge amount of money for Nintendo just of its own accord, but it's amazing to see from afar how that got people sort of out and wandering around and doing stuff with games that we'd never seen done before. And it was kind of, I always thought it was quite sweet when you saw like groups of people sort of wandering along with their phones and chatting and going to certain areas and all capturing certain bits and talking to each other, and saw loads of it around the city. It was great. Still see people coming into the shop, to the coffee shop in the morning who've got Pokemon Go open, which I think is great.
Thankfully, I live far enough away from people that I think I might have seen one kid once that I suspect might have been playing Pokemon Go. And yeah, haven't really seen any of that stuff, which is a shame because it would be nice to see that. But yeah, just haven't seen much of it.
That was a nice little addendum.
You
then.
said thankfully. You said thankfully. You're secretly on my side. You don't like people either. You said thankfully. I heard
Paddy
that.
is bitter in Metropolis.
Look, I went down the street in my local high street, Commercial Road, when Pokemon Go was at its height of thing, and in one walk down the street, 3 separate children nearly walked straight into me, not looking where they were going, staring at their phones, looking for a goddamn Dragonite or some shit.
This is where it flags up like the headline for the Portsmouth Herald, and it's just like, man shouts at children, get a PS1.
Ginger man knocks over 3 children like dominoes.
There's a Geodude over that way to make them run out of my way. Like, go out of my way.
To be fair, I don't think I necessarily blame Pokemon Go for that. If it wasn't Pokemon Go, it would be something else on phones that people were wandering around looking at the phone instead of what's in front of them.
Yeah, but at least like with other games, you can stop. With Pokemon Go, you have to physically walk about with it. Like, you could stop and play your Candy Crush and not walk down the middle of the road bumping into strangers.
Who does that?
Well,
but you can know where you're going to and just glance at your phone every now and again. You don't have to like sellotape it to your eyeballs.
No, it's definitely a next-gen game.
I blame the people rather than the game for that.
I will balance this out with like the amount of people that were looking at the phones and playing Pokemon Go with the amount of people that you see generally like texting or just staring at the phone walking along. I've had like loads of folks sort of, you know, when I've been going into a shopping centre or something, and when they nearly walk into me, they look up and go like, and I never got that from the Pokemon Go lot. It just seemed like people were off on an adventure. They probably sensed you. They probably sensed your ginger bitterness.
I am not manky. Fuck off.
So, we've discussed Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. What about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee? How do we feel about that?
I see what you did there, Mr. Carter. And I tip my hat unto thee. I tip Paddy's hat unto thee.
You have wounded me, sir.
Super Mario Party.
Yep.
Online play this time and leaderboards.
Right,
I don't know a whole lot about Super Mario Party, so I'll have to leave it to you fine folks.
I really liked the bit in the trailer they showed where they put 2 switches down on the table and sort of arranged them in a way to make a playground, and then they did the mini game in that playground. That was cool as shit.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
How have they done that?
Yeah, the notion that it can dynamically link 2 screens together into one, as you say, play field or playground, that is so cool. Other than that, I guess it splits the difference between Nintendo Land and Wario. What's it? That there's a bunch of mini games and stuff. I've never played a Mario Party, I'm afraid.
I can replicate the experience. You ready for this, right? I've got a coin, right? I'm going to flip the coin, and I want you to say heads or tails. Okay, you ready? I'll flip the coin now. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Cool. It was a heads, you lose. That, but it takes an hour. Jesus Christ, Mario Party. It's a fun game, but good God, those last 5 minutes of every game are just an exercise in torment. It is a blue shell of a game. Like, you got nega stars. Well done. All your stars are now gone. This person gets a star for having the least stars. They've now won, even though they're in last place for the entire game. They win at the end. Stupid game. And it's fun until the end. The last 5 minutes are fun. But the pace of it is, like, glacial. You cannot do it in less than an hour. And do you know
what would have been good, though? Nintendo Land.
Oh, imagine that was good. That game.
We had such a laugh on that.
Do you remember the game, the Animal Crossing one, where you've got you're trying to steal candy, and then one person controls 2 raccoons with a knife and fork, and as the raccoons come down, the person with the candy shouts "Rosas" and runs away.
We had it was so great, and you could kind of you could zoom the play field out when you were the Rosas, and sort of find out where you were kind of correlating to, and sort of try and edge your bets as you were. Oh, it was great.
I tell you what,
I've bought that game twice, and I don't own a Wii U.
I tell you what about Super Mario Party, though. It sure looks like all those people who a year and a half ago were enjoying being at rooftop parties and being on basketball courts playing with people who look like they'd never held a game control in their life. It sure looks like they were really enjoying going camping and whatever else people were doing in this trailer.
God, that woman who took it to the pub that time. Leave it at home. Just talk to your mates. Don't be that guy. Come on.
Putting your Switch down on the beer-soaked tabletop.
Who does that?
Set it up. No, I'm sorry. I'm not.
What's on pub tables?
That you just see like through one of the USB ports, or the beer goes, and it goes like, "I'll have another."
But yeah, the screen share thing looked really cool, and it looked like those people were having lots of fun.
Fun, Paddy.
Anyone
Fun
can pretend
together.
to have fun.
Human beings brushing alongside one another with laughter and experiences. Making moments, making memories.
To be fair, those people were all paid to look like they were doing that.
That's not true.
Basically whores. Prostitutes. Like, if they can fix the end game of Mario Party, if they can finally fix the last 10 minutes where everything falls apart,
We're really talking about Mario Party Endgame like it's an MMO or something.
It's a problem. It's the only issue I have. The mini games are fun, and the mechanic of running around a board is fun, and there's very much a kind of like oh fuck you as you go around. Like it's very fun and backbite. And then at the end, it's just an exercise in we're gonna do a game where everyone's scores get reversed. Why, Nintendo? Why? Who decided that would have been fun? Oh, Mario Party. Honestly,
you are a wedge of spite. You are a carton of hate in the fridge of life.
Anyway, if you'd like to experience that, 5th of October 2018.
A portion of misery.
So then, oh my word, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Oh my word. Guaranteed to play well. Looks gorgeous. Looks like a massive leap between the handheld stuff to being on the big telly. I reckon that might be day one for this. This just stole me away. Thought it looked lovely.
I have a question.
Is it a nasty one?
No.
Again?
Well, it might be.
Yeah,
right?
It probably is.
Does Fire Emblem usually look rubbish? Because me and Laura sat here and we watched that. We thought it looks a bit bitty, a bit naff compared to other stuff we'd seen already. Like, compared to Xenoblade thing, it looked a little bit...
It's got its own style.
It's not a very good style, is it?
Hang on.
It's the same designer as Demon Ex Machina.
Don't care. Didn't look very good.
Are you talking about graphical prowess, or are you talking about actual art design?
They're both. I wasn't into it. Was not into it. And it was set in Leicester.
Did you want a bit where it went from a nice bit to a girl stabbing people in the shoulder?
I'm not sure what you're pulling here.
The Last of Us Three Houses.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, that would have solved it. Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, throw. I don't know. It looked fine. It didn't jump out to me. It looked a bit crunchy and a little bit...
Bit crunchy and a little bit rock and roll.
Me and Laura both sat there and both went, at it. Like, it didn't do anything for us.
They're good games, though. They're really good games. And it seems like they've expanded upon the limitations of the 3DS and managed to do stuff like... managed to do stuff like, breaking into actual sort of formations across the field and stuff. I loved running around the castles. Thought it looked gorgeous personally. Thought really, really looked beautiful. I'm super up for this.
I've never played a Fire Emblem, but I did think this looked really good because a lot of what I've seen of Fire Emblem recently has been 3DS, I guess, whenever it's been on Direct and stuff, and this looked noticeably really just really excellent from a graphical prowess point of view, and it seems like they're able to do much more with it graphically than they have been in recent Fire Emblems, from what little I've seen. I did like the bit when the lady hugged a staff and emotional music played, and that's not a euphemism. That was actually in the trailer.
Have we all watched the same show? I feel like I'm going mad. Honestly, I'm going mad because I looked at those battle scenes and they just look really, like, Dynasty Warriors-y in the worst way.
No.
Here's 80 of the same guy, and they're all going to stand still.
Yeah, but he broke out into like the soldiers that are with you, rather than in the 3DS games you get sort of your character representing your army, but it broke out into that army in itself, and it's it's strategy stuff, and you've got big tales of sort of families and wars and getting married and having children, and just this big epic story that goes along with it. I'm all over this. I think it looks phenomenal.
Spring 2019, so odds on for a 22nd of February release date, I suppose.
If they push themselves hard. Also, as Paddy alluded to, it is quite funny that the game takes place on the continent of Fordland. The landmass is divided into 3 nations. Adrastia to the south and west, Fergus to the north, and to the east, Leicester.
Can't believe that. I just laughed my head off. Did I read that right? Is that Leicester?
It's just... Oh, there's another thing as well that I found where it's like, the following are named characters as seen in the game that are confirmed playable. Some of these are the sort of names that you would call people as middle names, Paddy.
Right.
So bizarrely enough, the first one is teacher, but then we go straight into Edelgard von Havestrongver.
James Edelgard von Havestrongver Carter.
Then Dmitry Alexandria Bladud.
Ooh.
Not forgetting, Claude von Regan.
All right. I'll take it back. Fire Emblem looks good.
That's all it took.
Yep, stupid name.
I have a way of winning him round over many, many episodes.
It was Claude von Regan that did it.
So, Fortnite Shadow Drop.
Yeah, out now.
Unless you've had a PlayStation account, in which case,
Fuck
Sony's showing the true qualities once again.
It's just nonsense.
It's amazing they managed to break a game on a different system. That's pretty impressive.
Have you seen the new Minecraft trailer from Nintendo where they're showing how you can play with your friends on PC and Xbox Live?
Oh, I mean, fully the Xbox social media accounts were tweeting, here's how you can link up your account on Switch and stuff like that, videos, like tutorials of how to do it, and really kind of sticking the knife in about this stuff.
The PS4 sharing games thing.
Yeah. And I get Sony are on top. They don't want people to be able to play with people who aren't on PlayStation because they want to try and get as many people on PlayStation as possible. I get the business reasons. I get the decision. Locking accounts like this, and again, I understand the business reasons. They don't want people to use cosmetics and stuff that they've bought on Nintendo eShop or on Xbox Store or on PC through the Epic Store. They don't want people to be paying money to other companies and then get to use that stuff in the game. I understand it, but if you want to keep people separated and not have them kind of cross-play, fine. Don't lock accounts like that. And Epic,
but it's not even their account, it's Epic's.
Well, yeah, but Sony have the right to say you're not allowed to. They can do that, and Epic literally can't do anything about it. And Epic went from 2 weeks beforehand. Jeff Gerstmann on Giant Bomb said he tried to play Fortnite on his Xbox and got a weird kind of cryptic message about he couldn't use this account; it had been locked, and he'd had to Google search to find out why. And then the Switch version, it's just straight up: you use this on a Sony machine, they've fucked you, basically. I mean, not verbatim, clearly, but they're being really direct about it. And they had that period where it just started cross-playing with PlayStation, quote-unquote, accidentally.
Someone sat on the button.
Then they turned it off, and it's just like, Epic just want everyone to know, this works, this is Sony. Because Epic don't want to take the flack for it. I mean, they're at the point of saying, stop complaining to us about it. There is nothing we can do. We've got it working cross-play and cross-account on every system we can. This is Sony. There's no way they don't buckle from this. I mean, by the end of the year is a charitable amount of time to give them. the amount of backlash they're getting from this, I don't see how they don't change this within a couple of months.
It's been on national TV.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I read the Sony statement and I just imagined Blink Guy going, Blink Guy, did you manage to write a statement? Like, I slid it under the door of Jim Ryan's shed and gave him a pen, because it was, we're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. Fortnite is already a huge hit with PS4 fans, offering a true free-to-play experience so gamers can jump in and play online. With 79 million PS4s sold around the world and more than 80 million monthly active users on PlayStation Network, we've built a huge community of gamers who can play together on Fortnite and all online titles. We also offer Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans to play on PS4 to play with even more gamers and other platforms, which is just blah, 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 blah. It's like feeding it to the dog and hearing it fart out into a speaker.
I mean, if this wasn't pissing so many people off, and rightly so, I feel, this would just be a hilarious heel turn from... I mean, we all remember 5 years ago at E3 where they were just like, let's just go blow by blow through every mistake Microsoft made with the Xbox One, and let's just
fuck
absolutely
them into the dirt.
Ram it up them. Yeah, and it's like, oh, games are going to be locked, are they? No, you can play any games. We will have discs. You can share accounts with your friends. We don't care because we're all for the players. And now it's like, we're for the players as long as they're PlayStation players.
They weren't for the players when EA came to them with the EA Access, and they were just like, we didn't believe it. It offered value for money for the player.
Let your players decide what's good value, you absolute knob ends.
There was this a great comment from Reggie Fils-Aimé in response to just that nonsensical chewing gum blah from PlayStation, which was, what competitors do is their decision to make. We believe in being both developer forward and fan forward is in the best interest of the game.
Yep. Yep. And Sony's decision at the moment, their stance is purely beneficial to themselves. It doesn't benefit developers. Epic want people to be able to play without having to pay money into two separate versions of the game, and every other platform's got on board with this, except Sony. They can't say they're doing it for the developers. They can't say they're doing it for their customers. They're doing it for themselves.
Do you think there's only so much of a backlash because Fortnite's so fucking huge? Like, if this was...
I think they're just trying to ignore it and make and thinking it will go away, but it's not, because it's getting national press attention. And I remember when Rocket League, the only folks who can't play together, PlayStation, everybody else is linked up, and they went to
Minecraft
developers
as well.
and they just went... so is it difficult to just link Xbox and PlayStation? Literally, we just click
Push
in a box.
Yeah, it's already there.
And the Rainbow Road is open.
Yep.
Games companies can't keep doing this.
No.
They can't.
The tide really has turned in this respect. And I really believe a big part of that is that mobile devices have got to the point where a version of what runs on a console, a modern current gen console, can run there as well. And it gets to the stage where you've got there then such an opportunity to avoid having a fragmented player base, because there are going to be people, I wouldn't be one of them, there are going to be people who want to play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Fortnite on a mobile device because that's what's handy, that's what they have, and that's what they prefer. Because it's like, you know, having a camera out with you on a night out, the best camera is the one you've got in your pocket, and that's on your phone. Same thing with games. If you sit in a waiting room, you're not going to have your Xbox or your PlayStation there.
Yeah.
You're going to have your phone. Yeah, you could have a Switch, but if you've got your phone, that works online really easily. Nintendo seem to be sorting themselves out, but it's taken a while. This is madness.
Why shouldn't you have access to the things that you've paid for?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, if somebody's been playing the game on PS4, if they're starting up on Switch, why should they need to start again? I mean, obviously it's not going to affect their gaming of itself, but if you spent money on skins and the things that have personalised the game for you, I think you deserve access to them.
When even Apple on iOS are doing this, notorious for wanting a closed ecosystem, and they won't let other apps have inbuilt shops, but they will. Like, so I buy films for streaming through Amazon Instant Video. I can't buy stuff on an iPhone or an iPad, but I can watch all the stuff I've bought. They don't want to lose out on the transaction, but if you've bought it elsewhere and then want to use it on your iPhone or iPad, they will let you. So even Apple, as kind of weird as that sounds, are getting on board with letting people have access. They'd rather have people use their device and be using it, get used to using it, even if that's not where you're paying money to unlock stuff on Fortnite. They'd rather you had the option to use their device and understand that that's better for their customers. And I don't get Sony's... I mean, they don't even have a good defense to put forward.
I think I've worked it out. You say a good defense. I think I've worked it out. I know why Sony have done it. All right. So, gaming addiction is a serious problem. Fortnite is all over in the media. Children are spending up to 3 hours a week playing. That's too much. Their parents who sat watching TV for 20 hours a week are upset because the children are doing something that isn't telly-watching for 20 hours a week. If you read books for 20 hours a week, you would be applauded. But if you play Fortnite for 20 hours a week, you're in trouble. You've got addiction problems, my friend, by locking you down and not letting them play on the Switch. They're limiting the amount of addiction these children can get. Sony are saving children.
Are you the hero? Are you on the hero's side?
I'm on the side of the angels.
Yeah.
I tell you what is the problem isn't locking accounts. The problem is people meeting up with smiles and different versions of games and having a nice time. That's the enemy.
Boo on them.
Yeah, and spending more time becoming more gaming addicted to their gaming addiction.
Thanks,
Sony.
They? Thanks, Sony. Saving gaming.
Thanks, Sony. You the best.
One account at a time.
Overcooked 2. Dynamic levels and a shifting kitchen this time.
You can throw food on the floor now. Legitimately very happy about that because I've played quite a bit of Overcooked and it's always, always, always funny.
But hang on, isn't Overcooked a game that's usually played with others?
It is.
Oh my god, Sony, please block their account.
Do you know what? I'll tell you how this works though, is that you do it in the same room and it's one copy of the game.
Yeah.
I haven't got to buy 5 copies of the game.
Personally, no. On an individual, you live in the same house, so you can't really kick them out, or you have to know them because you're married.
I do, yeah. We've played it, and then I've played it with other people as well, and it's always, 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 always been funny. I know I'm kind of ruining the Paddy doesn't like people thing here, but this is one I like. I think we have fun with it, and it was always chaotic and it was always fun. But I always found those levels where things start getting a bit tight were always a bit difficult to make things work well unless you'd had a bit of practice. I think being able to chuck food at each other is going to help massively. And they've put sushi in it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It means you haven't got to cook half the fish. It's brilliant.
It does look like there's a lot of usability improvements, and in addition to like content changes and that kind of thing. And coming really soon as well.
Yeah. I'm well up for Overcooked 2. I think it's going to be a laugh. A laugh and a half. New chefs as well, for all that matters.
I thought of you when I saw this next one, because I didn't know a whole lot about it, but Killer Queen Black does look kind of like a Towerfall type affair.
A bit. I didn't know what it was. It looks a little bit brawly. Is it the one that looks a little bit MOBA-y? Is it like one screen and you've got objectives on the other side? Am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, you are thinking of something else.
Oh,
I'll go into that in a bit.
I'm going to Google it while we're talking.
Well, it says here, Killer Queen is the world's only 10-player strategy arcade game, according to its website. There are 2 teams of 5 players, and each person has only 1 button and 1 joystick. Each team starts off with a queen and 4 workers, and they can win in one of 3 ways: killing the opposing team's queen 3 times, filling their hive with berries, or bringing a giant snail to their team's basket, of course.
Of course.
The Switch version has been redesigned from the ground up and will feature 2 teams of 4 players.
Oh, it's the thing I was thinking of. Yeah, it's not a MOBA, is it? Yeah, it's got like
I know
turrets
what you are
and
thinking
hives
of,
and stuff.
That comes later.
Oh no, it was actually this. Like I've just found images and it was this. I just think I got because I played the only MOBA I've ever played and enjoyed was Awesome Noughts the side-scrolling kind of like 80s cartoon one. And this looks a little bit of the same sort of setup as that, which is fine. That game was fine. I enjoyed it. The community were absolutely terrible, but I mean the game itself was fine. Nothing wrong with that. I had a wonderful 3 days with that before everyone else got their hands on it. It was great. This is really cool. I'm into it. I like the style of it. That sort of like, is it NES? Is it SNES? Is it sort of 16-bit era sort of graphics? It's sort of somewhere in the middle of that, isn't it? I like the giant snail idea. That's fun. It looks good.
Yeah, it sounds a bit wacky, and I think it'd be a fun night for like-minded folks.
Plus, Killer Queen is the best stand from JoJo.
There we go.
Part 5 confirmed today. Part 5 confirmed. Part 5 coming in October on the anime. We're going to Italy, baby! Yeah!
I can't believe I live in a world where Killer Queen isn't a reference to a Queen song and is instead a reference to a JoJo Stephen King hybrid.
No, the thing is, it is actually a reference to that, but I've gone via that. Killer Queen was named for the song, and then this game was named for the stand from JoJo.
I hope
that's how I'm saying it.
I was being facetious, but yes.
I don't like you. I'm even wearing my... Do you know what? I've looked down and I'm wearing my Killer Queen shirt already, so clearly I am a cliche of a man.
So did they say 4v4 rather than 5v5 this time around?
Yeah.
Because I guess that's as many switches as you can link. I think they said first on Switch as well, which would indicate it may be coming to other platforms.
Yeah, I wondered if it was. I wonder if it was a PC thing, sort of before that, and maybe Switch is their debut console.
Which one of the Microsoft exclusive intros would they have used? Console launch exclusive.
Yeah, basically. I kind of presumed the reason this was going to Switch and the reason it had been only in kind of bespoke arcade and therefore not very easy for anyone to play, which is why kind of no one or a lot of people don't know about this game. I wonder if it was going to Switch because you had to do it in local play. Not on the same Switch, but everyone had to have a Switch in the same place. But I guess
Towerfall's local only, isn't it? And that's the same sort of concept.
But if you're saying first on Switch, that must mean it's going to be online play for if it's coming to any others.
Because then you have the 2v2, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah. So they must be able to do online with it, I guess. Which, if you've got decent netcode, no reason not. Why not? You'll always get a laggy connection on a fighting game or whatever, but you can get perfectly good ones as well. So
unless you pull a Just Dance and everyone uses their phone.
Let you do a Just Dance and just one of you's a giant panda.
Bunch of Star Wars rejects. Who's that? Just Dave.
Hollow Knight, Shadow Drop, much praised platformer, available immediately.
I've been waiting since before the Switch release for this game. I know I'm an idiot. It's out on PC. I could have played it there. I didn't. I was excited about the prospect of playing this on Switch, and so I held out for it. And it was due to come out. It was never due to come out at launch. It was always going to be shortly thereafter, but it was supposed to be within the first sort of few months of launch. Then it was summer last year. Then it was just end of 2017, and it just kept kind of slipping back and slipping back. And yeah, so happy that this was just kind of clearly the reason we hadn't heard anything about it in a little while was because they'd lined it up for a Shadow Drop here. With all DLC that's been released so far included, just thrilled to have it available on Switch now.
Mr. Petronkel?
Looks cool. I want to play it. I've not picked it up yet. I kind of want it to be on Vita. I don't think it's come out on Vita, is it?
The Switch is the Vita.
I know, but I haven't got one of those.
Also, you live in Portsmouth, not the year 2014.
So somewhere in the 1980s then?
Yeah. No, I always thought it looked pretty neat. I don't know, I've kind of seen the internet around, my Twitter reactions to it has been pretty mixed, actually. I've seen a lot of people
Brad
say
Galloway's kind of a bit push-pull with it, isn't he, at the minute?
For everything it does well, people sort of bounce off. Every time someone I see that says it's amazing, I see someone else saying they've bounced off it quite hard. And saying something is Souls-like in its construction is not a pull for me anymore. I've been tricked by that several times, and it won't work anymore. I Lords of the Fallen is like Dark Souls. Is it now? We all fell for it.
Yeah, but I fell for that with another Knight-type platformer, which everybody seemed to spunk into the heavens for, which I just was like, oh no, I spent money on this.
Shovel Knight was delicious. Hashtag CJ's wrong.
No.
Yeah, I'm all kinds of about Shovel Knight, so yeah, I'm afraid I'm not with you on that one, CJ.
I nearly started playing it. That 8 minutes I had to play games earlier, I very nearly booted Shovel Knight up.
My favourite part of Shovel Knight is people saying they love the music, which I turned it off before I turned the game off, and would rather run 2 separate drills into either side of my head.
What is wrong with
my
you?
Hearing for all. It's awful.
It's brilliant.
I grew up
it's
with
majestic.
a Commodore 64. Don't give me this. Oh, it's just like the NES. The NES has got a shit sound chip.
You're a shit sound chip.
You're ginger.
But yeah, I mean,
Bumhole.
We've all lost it. You smell.
But I mean, my interest stems from, we've had Salt and Sanctuary, which is a kind of side-scrolling platformer version of Souls-ish type of thing, but the Souls link's not what draws me to this stuff. If someone wants to take a mechanic they've seen in Dark Souls and apply that to their game, that's fine. That doesn't have to mean it's Souls-like at all. And yeah, for Salt and Sanctuary that I enjoyed, there's always going to be a Lords of the Fallen, which I didn't.
Everybody else enjoyed.
But I mean, another one for me is that comes to mind is Ori, which is Metroidvania, which Hollow Knight seems to have kind of aspects of, and was kind of like cutesy with a really striking art style, but was tough and had its challenge. And I'm all kinds of in love with that game. And until the sequel comes out, something like Hollow Knight is just all about just
I
diving
love the
into
look
that.
of it.
Yeah,
It's got so much character.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm curious, but I just bought Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, so I'm sort of that's going to be my platforming
absolutely.
goodness.
So Nintendo are doing a treehouse, but did we all watch the Splatoon 2 World Championship and the Super Smash Bros. Invitational?
Sadly, I did not.
I did
missed
not.
These, sadly. Yeah. I don't even know if this was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate they were playing, or Super Smash Bros. Wii U, or what. But
or Susudio by Phil Collins.
I do enjoy watching Smash at Evo, because I watch Evo. Well, I watch loads of Street Fighter, but I watch Evo every year now. It's basically E3 for fighting games for me.
I love Evo as well, and I'm not even a fighting game player.
Yeah, and Smash there. Past couple of years, there's always been 2 because Melee just still has such a community around it, and I guess Ultimate will next year, I suppose, take the place of Wii U on E3 stage. But yeah, I didn't catch the Invitational here. And Splatoon 2, I don't know what the esports scene around that is like. I know when they were kind of marketing the game, they had people in esports shirts walking in with their Switches and sitting down to play a Splatoon 2. But I don't know whether that's kind of taken off in that respect. As
those
said
people
before,
are now sitting in a bar playing Mario Party.
Yeah. As we've said before, you can't really force esports. You need to put a game out there, and you can support it to get people to take it on. But I don't think you can necessarily force that kind of atmosphere and community around a game. So, So speaking of games that look really gorgeous and are coming to Switch, and actually quite soon.
And they dropped a demo.
Another demo.
As well, yeah. So Octopath Traveler. It's only July now.
It looks really ugly. That was a trap. You believe me. It looks really nice. You believe me. You both believe me. You both believe me. I could feel you both go.
Well, you did just say that Fire Emblem looked rubbish, so you've got prior on this.
It looked shit. No, Octopath Traveler looks lovely. Deliciousness. It's so crunchy and vintage looking and sepia. Ooh.
And you can actually alter some of those effects as well if you don't want the sort of sides of the shadows to be to be sort of blurred out, and for it to have sort of quite that that sort of fisheye lens effect. You can monkey about with those to your heart's
Everything looks
content,
better with a fisheye lens.
I just think the look of it is just phenomenal, and I wish that that special edition was a little bit cheaper. With the sort of, it's like a chest, and you open it up, and it's like a stage play, and you've got all the characters on the top. It looks lovely.
Yeah, definitely. This is the second demo, right? I'm sure there was a demo previously. Yeah. Is it possible for a game to be over demoed to the? I know. Like, I've heard loads of people say that for like Metal Gear Solid, or there's games that have demos where, Resident Evil 2 for me, I played that demo like nobody's business, and I've not played the game, as we found out not that long ago. Is it possible for a game to be over demoed to the point where people have played 2 demos, and when it then comes out, they've kind of lost enthusiasm for it?
I think with the first one, they put it out and took a lot of feedback from it. There was things that people liked. Honestly, it seems to be like a Neo sort of that type situation.
Sure.
And the new one is a different demo to the original, but it shows you like 5 of the characters. I think you can sort of travel. You've basically got 3 hours to do what you will with it. And again, it's really different. People are enjoying the changes that have been made through the feedback, seeing the game advance technically a little bit as well. And I think a lot of it is probably people just having a look in and just piquing their interests even further on the cusp of it actually coming out. So
I was going to say that
seems quite sensible.
That does make a kind of a certain amount of sense, where the first demo was just to get a feel for what people wanted from the game and feed into development, whereas this is promotional. I mean, there's nothing coming out of this demo in response to it that they're going to change in a month. I mean, literally.
Again, we're on sort of social media sort of quite a lot. We see all this stuff hitting with game sites, but maybe there are people that saw the original demo on the Switch shop and were just like, I'll give that a go, and now they're seeing another one crop up. They might just go, right, I'll see what they've changed. So it seems, it looks, honestly, if I was going on a long trip and I had this, I'd just think it would just siphon hours away. It's that wonderful thing whereby new technology doesn't need to mean, photorealistic or super, crisp and
absolutely.
And I like the fact that it just looks like a really imaginative and stylish version of something that's seemingly celebrating sort of games gone by, and yet it looks so fresh and so vibrant.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we then went into a montage with
Sizzle
a lot of
reel.
games.
So, interestingly, I heard a lot of talk about Nintendo's press conference or presentation, or direct, I guess technically it's called in Nintendo's case, and I assumed, because people were saying, it was just all Smash and there was nothing else. Technically, they had twice as many games as Sony, because there are 26 games in this sizzle reel.
Yeah, I
stopped writing after a bit.
I got them all down on here, but and that's, yes, you could say, well, they didn't really, because these 26 all went by really quickly. I'm including like the road countdown to E3 games that Sony showed in their pre-show and the main show. I'm including Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 as 2 separate games, which it was like map announcement for each of those. So I'm giving Sony the benefit of the doubt there as much as Nintendo. 26 games in here, and we didn't get any information necessarily on any of them aside from some dates, but there was loads.
There was loads, but I think if Sony had chose to do one of those, they could have bumped their numbers up easy, but that's not what that show was it really?
Because that's what the people...
Here's my sizzle reel, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But we talked on the show before, we did our E3 prediction show, that, well, I, anyway, don't like those. They just, it's like, there's some names, but you might as well just give me a list.
I'll take one of them over a Call of Duty maps, and here's some stuff that we announced 5 days ago.
There was that bullet that went through 7 different places. That's not how bullets work.
I kind of like this one in this case, for the reason that a lot of these are games that we know about, but in some cases haven't heard anything about for a little while. In some cases we have. And I feel like there's a bit of something for everyone, and some of the dates that popped up surprised me. I didn't feel like I knew those, or it was nice just to have them reinforced. And it showed there's a lot of stuff coming out on Switch this year.
Yeah, again, there's a good. I mean, I think across the board, even when we broke down the Sony show, there's a lot of great games for whichever console you love going forward, and that's fantastic. There's nothing better than sort of watching the stuff or finding out more, and then realizing that there's more than you could ever dream of that's going to be here sort of in the next year or two. So, and even when I was researching some of these today, there were games that I didn't really know a lot about and might not have judged in the same way had I not found out a little bit sort of more about them from diving in. So that's cool. And even on like the Microsoft show, there's, you know, when that sizzle reel goes through, this stuff looks like, oh, that's really good. That's really good. And I mean, even though we're doing these shows, I will hunt down that montage afterwards and go, right, what was that? Or it will click into my head when I see it later and it's nearer to release and they're ready to show more of it. And I'll be like, oh,
some of these, they're reminders of stuff we already know about, just to remind us they're coming. There's nothing more needs saying other than, here's when it's coming. You know if you want this or not. And in some cases it's, I'll know to look out for that next time. Not many, because most of them, I think all of them are this year. Oh no, there's at least one on here that says it's 2019. And some that say autumn 2018. I'm like, if you're that vague at this stage, halfway through the year, is it really going to hit this year? You know, I could see some of those slipping. But yeah, did we want to pick out anything that looked like it's for us, or shall I just read through the 26 and you can stop me if?
Yeah, if you want.
Go for it.
I've got the list as well, but I'm ready with a few of them.
Yeah. So yeah, just shout, halt, shut up, you Egypt, whenever I get to something that you want to talk about. Starlink Battle for Atlas, 16th of October.
Looking very pretty again. The more I'd see this, the
even
more
more
I
so
find
actually.
out more about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did
Toy
demo
bullshit.
better. He did demo better on the sizzle reel than I think he did on the Ubisoft
I
stage.
saw some stuff some shots that looked really good and graphically impressive as well. Arena of Valor, autumn 2018.
Halt now, this is one that I dived into and I was like, really? Arena of Valor is a multiplayer online battle arena developed and published by Tencent Games.
I didn't know Tencent came up. Yeah.
By 2017, it was reported that the game had over 80 million daily active players and 200 million monthly active players, and was both the world's highest grossing game as well as the most downloaded app globally. In September 2017, Nintendo announced a partnership with Tencent to bring the game to Nintendo Switch. That's a huge get.
I have literally never heard of it.
Me neither.
What is it?
Now I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, on the face of it, I can't tell other than, you know, the 5 seconds or so that we saw, but it looks a little bit like a League of Legends-ish thing.
That was my presumption, was it as a hero arena battle thing. And it sounds like the most generic mobile version of that stuff, but to a certain extent,
got to be something about it to keep people coming back.
There's no arguing with that. And that might not mean it's a quote-unquote good game, or I guess what I mean is a game that would interest me or necessarily you guys, but there's plenty of games on mobile where lots of people who play there want something they can check into every day or most days or when they've got a spare 5 minutes. And if you got that, I mean, you can't ignore the success of that, even if it's not a game that's made for someone like me. So yeah.
There's nothing like it on the system, and I think again, like tying into that mobile stuff, it's if you play it and you enjoy it, it will be a time sink on your train journey to work, or if you've got like a few hours on the plane and stuff. I think this is a huge get, and I'm wondering if, when this gets close to release, if Nintendo will make a bigger deal out of it with a direct, because it's too big in those numbers and that popularity to just purely leave it.
And
like
a massive
5-second thing.
benefit of the Switch being based on mobile technology, on NVIDIA chipset.
Yeah.
it just yes, you can port mobile games. Fallout Shelter that we're going to see later on this sizzle reel is on PlayStation 4 now. It's been on Xbox One for a while. The fact we've had the architecture kind of streamline and come together a bit more means you can port from one to the other with ease. But the fact that on Switch, I'm sure it takes more effort than I imagine it does, but they can just take something from a mobile developer and move it over onto Switch as a smart, sensible, logical thing to do, and also presumably, with a certain amount of ease there. And yeah, if it's free to play as well, I'm surprised. I guess there's not resistance to free to play games. Maybe I'm kind of imagining that, but the likes of a Warframe, because it's free to play, if someone's looking for a game and they don't want to go out and buy something, they don't have money to buy something because it's middle of the month or whatever, or they're a kid who can only buy stuff with pocket money, having a free to play game there that over time can be built up and refined to be something pretty special, it's just such a boon for any console. And so yeah, getting something like this onto Nintendo Switch makes perfect sense for anyone who's looking for something just to try without having to worry about losing any money on it. I'm assuming it's free to play. I don't know, but I can't imagine you'd have that many players if it wasn't, frankly.
No.
So,
it seems like Batman's in it as well. So there's something for you.
Similar to Thanos and Fortnite.
And a Minotaur who is a police officer.
I do remember that, actually. I remember.
See, you're talking yourself into it with
I've been scrolling down. There's a Minotaur who's a police officer. There's a robot with ball legs. It looks like exactly the kind of game
with Batman in it. Yeah, no, I have on YouTube. Yeah, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, it looks. I'm sure it does numbers, but it looks like exactly the kind of game that I literally. You said the name Arena of Valor, and my brain. I got bored.
Exactly what it was going to be.
I knew what it was, and it was like, that's a generic name. I know exactly what that game is.
Yeah.
Champions of the Realm, Fighters of Arena. They're all just so badly named.
Yeah.
League of Champions,
Battleborn. We've had this several times with all manner of different games where they get popular. How many games are going to have Royale in the title now? All that kind of stuff. But hey, that you can't turn your nose up. As far as Nintendo making the smart decision, that seems really smart. So thank you for doing the legwork on that, CJ, because I breezed past this presuming, like Paddy did, I knew exactly what it was, and I do, but yeah, that's not a player base you can sniff at. So,
that's cool.
What's next?
Minecraft. They didn't say what it was. I assume it's.
Have you heard about Minecraft? Have you heard of it?
Stop me if you've heard this one before.
It's a game where if you're on PlayStation 4, you can play with just people on
with
PlayStation
79
4.
million other PlayStation users, or at least the number of those that want to play Minecraft.
Which apparently is still quite a large number. So.
I presume it's an update. They didn't say it was an update because that's already on Switch, isn't it?
Yeah.
21st of June, anyway. Something's happening on Minecraft.
It's still one of the biggest games in the world. You still go, look, Minecraft's still here.
And by the way, Mojang and Microsoft have in their back pocket, whenever it's not one of the biggest games in the world, Minecraft 2, anyone? And that will it will just go bananas, because
this time it's made of hexagons.
What? Did you see that Phil Spencer interview where he was talking about the Fortnite stuff, and he was talking about their relationship with Nintendo, and they said Nintendo invited them out to a developers dinner, because he was saying because we do Minecraft and we put it on their system, we get invited as developers down to there. So it was
and even just today really I've seen people on Twitter saying it's still beautifully baffling to be able to log into your Xbox Live account on your Switch, see your avatar on there, and get achievement unlocked pop-ups when you unlock something in a Microsoft game on the Switch.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I mean that's getting close to what people talk about with that kind of will Nintendo ever start putting Mario onto other systems? That kind of weird feeling that you get when you think of seeing Mario on a PlayStation or whatever. It's that kind, not that level, but it's getting onto that kind of thing, isn't it? And that's just really cool that that's where we are. If you have companies that want to work together.
What's next?
Sushi Striker: Way of the Sushido, out now.
Is that was originally on 3DS first, wasn't it? I'm sure I saw that was 3DS on a previous Direct, and where everyone was a little bit.
Are you asking us?
They said it was out now. It looks like you're throwing sushi around on a grid system. I don't know if that means it's puzzly or if that means it's more. I got a Overcooked kind of vibe from it, but I've no idea why. Just because it's food, I guess.
All food games look the same to you.
Shadow Drop. I mean, they are basically all Fruit Ninja. Let's be honest.
Oh, you have wounded me a second time, sir.
So that's out now. Don't know much about it. Looks cool. As does Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong Adventure on the 26th of June. We already knew it was coming. It was at Ubisoft, but here it's again. Pixark Autumn 2018. That looked like it had the Ark Survival Evolved logo, but pixelated.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's that times Minecraft. I think it has a few technical problems thus far, but
right. So that's
potential to be Minecraft with dinosaurs, and fair enough.
Yeah,
Dinecraft.
Speaking of free-to-play games that have done well, Ark Survival Evolved. I don't even know if that's free-to-play, but it certainly seems to have grown in popularity and
I don't think it is
done well out of streaming audiences.
I think it was early access on Xbox early on.
Yeah, not ever something I've thought about playing, but we may come back to that in this sizzle reel, so hang on to that thought just now. Just Dance 2019 on the 26th of October. Again at Ubisoft. Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I thought this had a release date, but they just said 2018, so obviously it's not been nailed down yet. That game looks absolutely spiffy. When I was playing it on PlayStation 4, if they can capture that on Switch and you can play it. Joy-Cons are not the best for fighting games because you really do need a D-pad. Those buttons are slightly too far apart to use the kind of cross D-pad with 4 separate buttons.
Pro Controllers is very nice, though.
Pro Controller would be great. There is a Hori stick for Switch, but obviously in those cases that limits the degree to which you can play it handheld. Well, it means you can play it handheld. So, but I want to say Hori or someone similar made a Pro Controller that you stripped out a lot of the features, but gave you a plus D-pad, and it has to be connected to the Switch to use. So there's options there for people if they really want a handheld fighting game, because there's quite a few like brawlers and fighting games on Switch. But
the Smash Brothers controllers work on Switch, or is it just on Smash Brothers? Because they said that they're going to work with the new game. You've still got the same connectors as previous ones. I presume they'd be all right, wouldn't they?
Quite possibly. And there's a bunch of other third-party controllers that are pretty good as well. I'm thinking of like the 8-bit DOE ones, the retro-style SNES and NES controllers that they do. But again, that kind of means you're not using it handheld. So that aspect of the kind of 3 different ways to play Switch, one of them's kind of completely ruled out if you feel you need a D-pad, which I would heartily recommend, having played some Street Fighter on there and not enjoyed the experience with the 4 buttons. I'd highly recommend it. It's a great fighting game coming to Switch. Don't know how online will work though. Not very well on the other consoles, so I can't imagine Nintendo will do any better in that regard. Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, summer 2018. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, 13th of July, also coming to 3DS, and they're switching out some kind of passive walkthrough 3D world levels for some Odyssey-based levels, which there was a little clip of in this. Captain Toad being fired across to one of the Odyssey realms. There's the Metro City one, actually. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. It's just a wonderful, feel-good, pick-up-and-play style game that makes total sense on Switch or 3DS. I would heartily recommend it when it comes out in 3 weeks now, to anyone who's after some Captain Toad looking just like the cutest little spelunker you can find. Heartily recommended. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, 29th of June. Comes out on Xbox the same day, I think. They had the PS4 exclusivity for a year, I guess. And I think there's some extra content coming to it.
There's a brand new level, I think.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
They've sort of dreamed up.
Day and date with these, so yeah.
Cool.
Ninjala, that looks like Splatoon but ninjas. Spring 2019.
So apparently Ninjala is a morphing ninja gum action game that allows players to blow bubble gum to craft weapons and use the unconventional fighting method ninjutsu. Adapting to different landscapes, players must use lightning-fast reflexes and super parkour mechanics to combat and counter their opponents. That sounds fun.
I am really surprised they've gone for the name Ninjala simply because Lego Ninjago.
Yeah, I thought I'd written it down wrong when I was writing.
Exactly. I have heard other people say, isn't this Lego? And no, it is entirely different. I'm surprised they went for that, to be honest. But, yeah, there we go. Next up, Carcassonne, Winter 2018.
Hooray! Board games! It's board games!
Yeah?
I think
It's fucking board games!
do
you know what? It's
cool
one of the big points in my board gaming things. I've played a lot now. In my board gaming history that I've not actually played yet. It's one of those big ones that everyone's, oh yeah, Carcassonne's great, and you see it everywhere, but I've never actually played the damn thing.
When I was doing some research, I saw that Shut Up Show really liked it. And it says here, Carcassonne is a tile placement game in which the players draw and place a tile with a piece of southern French landscape on it. The tile might feature a city, a road, a cloister, grassland, or some combination thereof, and it must be placed adjacent to tiles that have already been played in such a way that cities are connected to cities, roads to roads, etc. Having placed the tile, the player can then decide to place one of his meeples on one of the areas around it, on the city as a knight, on the road as a robber, on the cloister as a monk, or on the grass as a farmer. When that area is complete, that meeple scores points for its owner. During a game of Carcassonne, players are faced with decisions like, is it really worth putting my last meeple there? Or, should I use this tile to expand my city? Or should I place it near my opponent instead, giving him a hard time to complete his project and score points? Since players place only one tile and have the option to place one meeple on it, turns proceed quickly, even if it is a game full of options and possibilities. That sounds like it would potentially be a lot of fun anyway, but especially on Switch.
I've heard that the people making it are apparently looking to get more board games digitised and put out there. I would very much like that. I love my board games. You can give me a digital version of some of the stuff that's a little bit fiddly to get out and get rolling. Brilliant.
It's left of centre, isn't it, to see something like this turn up and the possibilities of it being successful and bringing further adaptations of board games. It's kind of cool.
Carcassonne back on Xbox Live Arcade was brought out, and it does feel like it's been on everything. So frankly, the fact that it'll have taken, by the time it comes out, nearly 2 years to get onto Switch is a bit of a baffler, to be honest. There was a version on Xbox Live Arcade which did very well. It was, I'm sure, brought to mobile devices as well. It just seems like a bit of a no-brainer because it's such a popular board game. I just wish I'd been a fly on the wall when you found out the little wooden guys were called meeples. I wish I'd been there to see the glee come over your face.
That's not just this game. Like that, a lot of board games. That is a standard terminology for a little man.
This is certainly the game where I first heard the term. I've got to say, yeah, it's certainly where my association comes. But yeah. Winter 2018, so very kind of unspecific time frame, but yeah. And hopefully
also it'd be quite a good one to play sort of if you've got people round like in the run up to Christmas or
sort of thing
when
where
nights get dark and cold and stuff.
You could probably do a pass the controller type situation or multiple switches linked together, or I mean no reason you couldn't do it online as well. So hopefully they really go hammer and tongs after getting as many different ways to play as possible.
I don't think it's a game where secrecy is a factor, because quite a lot of board games would not be able to be done past the controller, because you can I'm going to play this card and this card and this card. Well, you can't show everyone your card.
No, absolutely.
You have to keep it to yourself. So, yeah, I think this works because it is that kind of turn-by-turn basis. And That's cool. I'm into it.
FIFA 18 World Cup stuff available now. FIFA 19 coming out 28th of September. FIFA 19, I will just say, it's important, I guess. EA kind of cagily said, we'll bring FIFA to Switch, see how it does. They were very non-committal about were they going to support the Switch, because obviously they've been equally non-committal about Wii U, and kind of they never fell off on Wii, but like companies like Activision and EA were always a bit kind of hedging their bets on, is it really worth it? Depends how many players are buying our games there. To see FIFA 19 come out and it not be groundbreaking that it's happened, it's just we're putting it out on Switch, clearly means there's enough people buying this game on Switch. Last year they stripped out some of the modes and some of the stuff you could do, but people clearly still bought it, and I'm hoping they can keep adding more of what FIFA can do on big consoles. Is so condescending, I apologise. On Xbox and PlayStation, they can add that stuff in on Switch as much as possible, because obviously the portability is a big boon for Switch, but it'd be nice to not have to forego other modes for people who play FIFA, which isn't me, I should say. I sound like I'm talking about this. I last played FIFA Road to World Cup 98, I think. So yeah, we're now 20 years beyond that, and so here's where Ark Survival Evolved popped up. Also autumn 2018, the same as Pixark. I don't know whether there's any link there that they just happen to be developing them for the same period, or whether the development and porting is kind of happening side by side in some respect. And another port, Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, autumn 2018. That's really cool. I have
potentially quite different again for the Switch to get something like that.
I've wanted to play Wasteland 2 for a while and just never got around to it. It's on Game Pass now, which is probably where I'm going to end up playing it. But that strategy, tactics, those sorts of games, seeing them on Switch just makes a whole lot of sense. I've not played Wasteland 2, so I don't know how easy it would be to pick it up, play it for 10 minutes on the commute, and then put it down. But
our good friend Martin Charlton is a very big fan of this game.
I actually already have it on Switch, and when you bought it on Switch, you also got the original Wasteland, but I don't think the original Wasteland ever came to the console versions of Wasteland 2. But yeah, good to have Director's Cut as well. I guess at this point they're not going to go back and release the original, but yeah, also kind of autumn 2018, so no fixed date on that. Paladins, Champions of the Realms. Speaking of those games,
I've just fallen asleep again. I'm sorry. Oh, wow.
But another really successful game that I think a lot of people sniffed at when it first came out, and just seems to go from strength to strength.
Apparently, they're adding a battle royale mode.
Some games with gold this month with lots of freebies as well, isn't it?
I hate to say it, I'm one of those people who doesn't automatically download everything that pops up on PlayStation Plus and games with gold. I
saw it on the on the trailer and was like, not for me, but I presume it's a good way of getting more people to
for sure.
to play it by
there are
sticking
plenty
on there
of
and
people who do download whatever comes up. I used to. I just stopped because I realised I'd got like 600 games on my PS Plus account. I didn't have my PlayStation 3 plugged in anymore, and I wondered what I was ever going to do with those, and realised I'm downloading stuff on the off chance I ever want to play it. I don't have enough time left in my life. And that's not me being pessimistic.
Library these days, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Paladins coming to Switch as well. Available now, actually, I should say. It was a shadow drop. As was Fallout Shelter, although we already knew that. Bethesda had already announced PlayStation 4 and Switch right now. Cheeky one, this. Dark Souls Remastered, summer 2018. I feel like that's one they kind of snuck in there when the delay was announced.
This seems a bit cheeky.
I too am ready for it because I have got my 1000G on the Xbox version, so may as well start it up somewhere else where I don't need to worry about achievements.
It was also one of those where when the Game Collection at the weekend did their E3 Hangover promotion, I managed to get it for the cheapest price I'd seen it. So it's now about £25 something.
Yeah,
which is fine. I think I'm excited to see that on Twitch too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, 7th of September.
Sure, that's a game.
That is absolutely a game. I guess when there's no Dead or Alive on Switch, SNK Heroines will fill that void. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, 28th of August.
So excited for this.
I, on the other hand, need to nip to the toilet, so I'll leave you two chatting about this.
Okay. We've had a natter about this before, Pad, but
several
the fact
times.
That when I was sort of finding out a few more details about this, and it was like, how many monsters there are compared to Monster Hunter World? And I was like, let's look. There are 30 in Monster Hunter World, and in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, there's 93.
Jeez.
And there are, again, it's.
I have a question about that.
There's a lot of variations in sort of attacking styles, and I think it is going to be interesting to see with the quality of life changes that they made to Monster Hunter World. If people who are veterans can now take that step back to the previous one, or if it's going to bring in a new audience who are looking for more Monster Hunter after Monster Hunter World was perhaps their first.
I have a question about the multiple, or the roster of monsters being like 3 times as many. In the old games, if there's been a Monster Hunter game with that many in it before, is that the most? Or is this like a unique thing where it's like it's gone above 50 for the first time ever, or something silly like that?
I think that this is more of a. There's supposed to be no story in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate whatsoever. They've not even bothered with that. I think it's more of a kind of greatest hits of like loads of the best monsters that have been in previous games in the same one. Plus you can play as a cat now if you want, and a lot of the stuff that you'd have to do as a regular hunter, it's almost like the Palico mode is an easier option to play the game. I don't think I'm sure there's something like you don't have to sharpen, or there's this certain sort of
something's different,
that you'd have to do as a hunter. But you're dressed like a cute cat and you fight and stuff, which is again, it's a little quirk that's unique to the game. But I've seen some of Gaijin Hunters videos on the specialities and what you can do, and it looks like super deep. And we are getting the essentially this is Double Cross. This is the G rank version, the second one that Japan got of this. So that's probably why there's the extra monsters.
Okay.
Because when Japan got Monster Hunter 3 and then got the G rank version, which we got as Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate over here. So the Ultimates have generally been like the second release of these in Japan, like coming over as one big dollop, so there's always going to be more of them. But that's quite a chunky little package, and it's going to be great fun to play at home and then take on the go.
And my only concern with that numbers being so high is, I mean, if they are drawing from the history, that's kind of clever. Because I would worry about dupes. Because in like Monster Hunter World, you've got Diablos, you got a Black Diablos, which let's be fair, is the same, but the numbers are a bit higher. The Rathalos and the Pink or the blue Rathalos and the Rathian and the pink Rathian, like, I don't consider them really separate monsters as just like a hard mode of the same monster. That's what I'd be concerned about when the numbers, when the monster count shoots up that high. But if they're drawing from the past, then it means they've probably got some of that stuff done already, which is better. You know, that's better to hear. I did worry a little bit.
You got stuff in 3 Ultimate, like the Lagiacrus was, you know, the creature that could swim underwater, and you had your underwater battles, and then you took it through to various underwater areas, and then you had like a little patch of beach that you would fight it. Later on in the game, you got the Ivory Lagiacrus, who was in the middle of a forest, and was just mental. Absolutely mental, like like sending out these charged electric attacks, and would just be ferocious and fast. And the area was, it was a different terrain for a start, but it was felt very closed in, and that was great. But this stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing again, even with the limited amount that I've played Monster Hunters in the past. Also, you know, for people that are fans of the series, I know that they really, really love this because it plays a little bit differently to a regular Monster Hunter, but you've got lots of the goodies from past games, plus 93 of them. If you're buying your kid this, they're going to get good at Monster Hunter, and they're going to be playing it for a long time.
Yeah, very cool. I think it's interesting that when we had only 3DS Monster Hunters for a while there, World being announced was like this, yes, excellent, it's coming back to a big console, and now it's kind of feels fitting to have the big TV World and also have running concurrently a handheld version you can have as well, although obviously this one you will be able to put up on the big screen. I think that's
because it was you could link your save between the Wii U and the 3DS, but my word, it was a faff.
Yeah.
It was downloading apps and like what? And again, I think this is a super time sink for anybody that's doing a bit of travelling, and but it will be interesting to see how those folks who are experienced with the game take a step back from the quality of life changes in in the new one. Plus, if people have only played Monster Hunter World, how they react to a Monster Hunter that requires you like going foraging for stuff and doesn't lead you to the monster with scout flies. You're looking for that monster, and then you have to paintball it, and the paintball wears off. So there is. But it's weird, like, there are those quality of life changes in Monster Hunter World where you go, yeah, that's really smart, that makes the game much more intuitive. But there's still a part of me that just goes like, I had to work hard to find that monster. I had to work hard to keep that monster there. And that older stuff still has kind of like a charm and a resonance with me. Even though it was kind of sodded off maybe for the better. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe a Pokemon Go type situation where some of the people who were brought in with World can more easily step onto a Generations Ultimate.
We shall see.
Yeah. Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, 29th of June. We've known this is coming for a while. We got a brief snippet of footage from it. Great to have Bethesda, backing up their kind of Doom release previously and getting this on there.
Doom must have sold pretty well then.
Well, they announced this like ages ago, around the same, I think the same time they said Doom was coming. So this could just be them following through on that promise. But
I've got to wonder. This does leave me on. Like, when are they going to get day and date with the other machines? Because, like, for me, if I wanted to play Wolfenstein 2, I haven't done it yet, but I would have bought it by now.
Yeah.
And I know, if I've only got a Switch, then cool, this is the option. But, like, for games like this, if I wanted to play it, I kind of would have already done it by now. Like with Doom, I kind of feel like I would have already, which I already did.
It takes a lot more to get this sort of up and running. I know that there are folks that played it at PAX that said it was having a few technical struggles then, and obviously we've not got it yet, so they're still working on it.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it takes a hell of a lot to to get Doom up and running as successfully as they have on the Switch. Never mind something like Wolfenstein 2.
Oh, of course, but it just kind of feels like I'd expect like a multi-platform release like this to be, within hopefully a couple of weeks. Dark Souls was supposed to be and then wasn't, and I kind of feel like that's going to maybe hurt the sales of the Switch version because
I think this was supposed to be February, and the fact that it's not out then is to me is credit to Bethesda, because they're obviously going like, we're not going to stuff you over with like something that's not good and isn't right. So
I agree, but waiting a year to play the same game.
Sure, but
thanks.
Hang on a sec. So Dark Souls, absolutely, I agree. Doom, the Switch wasn't out when Doom came out.
That's fair.
Wolfenstein 2 was already 2-3 years in development when the Switch was actually announced.
Was it?
Yeah, Wolfenstein 2 came out last year, but in September.
It was on the previous Bethesda conference as a hint, wasn't it?
Look, James. I've seen game jams. Games take 3 days to build. James,
sure.
Come on.
Alternatively, they started making Wolfenstein 2 as soon as they wrapped Wolfenstein 1. Well,
multiplayer is just a button you turn on. Come on, James. Games development is really easy. Women animations are really hard.
So we'll see games day and date. I mean, FIFA's day and date this year, as far as I can tell. So we'll see games day and date when they have the chance to start developing on Switch at the same time as they have the chance to start developing on everything else.
Yeah, so maybe next year, when we'll start seeing that. I don't know. It just kind of feels like it's behind, and it kind of shouldn't. I wouldn't want it to be.
I think that's why last year's FIFA we got essentially like the Xbox 360 engine running on it and stuff.
It's what they could get running in time.
Even with some of the indies though, they're coming out 4 to 6 months after everything else. Like Hollow Knight, good example. Should that have been out before? Probably, but is Switch hard to develop? Is it having the same problem that the PS3 used to have, where it was hard to make ports because it's a different machine?
Well,
I think sometimes with Switch stuff like the indies, I think they look to get sales on the other consoles first, and then try and get people to double dip with the Switch.
Yeah. Well, also, a moment, please. Hollow Knight's not out on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. It as a lot of indies are developed. Developed for PC first.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought it was Switch before anything else. It's certainly not on Xbox One yet.
No.
I thought it was on PS4 already.
It's possible. My memory's a bit fuzzy, but either way, with indies, what you often have is you can't develop concurrently for multiple platforms, so you develop for the one that you need to be on first, which is usually going to be PC, and then you opt for whatever looks like your next best bet.
It's really not on the PS4.
My memory says this is the first. This is the first console it's on. But
it's 100% not on the PS4.
What did I see?
It's not even got a date yet, mate.
What did I see? I swear I'd seen that on the PS4. Wow. I guess I'm wrong. Fair enough.
Hashtag Paddy's wrong.
So
no, I'm right. I said it's not on there.
You're right because you said you were wrong.
Look, I'm allowed to change my mind. All right.
I think
I'm an adult.
We maybe start to see them day and date when games start off being developed for that, rather than being afterthoughts.
That was it. It's only a side thing, but it's nice to see Wolfers 2 on another machine, and I will play Wolfers 2 eventually because it looks good. But so busy.
Apparently Hollow Knight PS4 port coming later this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But again, that's an incredibly small developer who wanted the game to be out on Switch a while ago.
Hold on. That article was March 2017.
Oh, maybe not then.
A small developer who gets a really good response to their game, they want it to be out on everything that every fan is or potential fan is asking for it to be on. It doesn't mean it's easy to do if you haven't got the likes of a Curve or someone backing you up with ports like Mike Bithel's games have had. He's been able to port it because he's had support from Sony or whoever to help with that port. So, But yes, I agree. It'd be nice to see the likes of Bethesda start to say, okay, so for Doom 2 or Doom Eternal, we're going to make a Switch version and it will be day and date. That would be really cool to see them kind of commit to that. Next up, World Ends With You Final Remix.
Autumn
2018.
Yeah, apparently a bit of a legendary bell to this, and it looks lovely on Switch.
Yeah. I've had the DS, beg your pardon, version for a while. Actually, it's an import version, and just never got around to playing it. So yeah, this is definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. Again, that kind of vague autumn 2018 release, but yeah, very cool. Mega Man 11, 2nd of October.
Apparently, he's very, very, very good.
Yeah, lots of positive buzz about this, and coming way sooner than I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was like sometime next year, but 2nd of October, yeah. Don't know much about it, except there is an associated costume coming to Street Fighter V for Airman, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. And last of the sizzle reel, Mario Tennis Aces, 22nd of June. Again, I thought that was already out. Maybe it's just because people on podcasts were playing review copies. And
is it the demo and the beta?
Yeah, sure, the demo was out as well. Yes, that's it too. But yeah, out tomorrow as of day of recording.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's tennis.
Mario Tennis, no less. Yeah.
I've never played one of them. Cannot attest to their quality, but people seem to buy them, so yeah.
I have played and enjoyed, much like Mario Strikers. I played on, I guess it was the Wii. But yeah, good fun, arcadey style sports games, yeah, which tend to be the style I prefer over simulation games. So yeah.
So unfortunately for me, there's only ever been one good tennis game, and that's the Anna Kournikova Smash Court one that was on PS1. That game was brilliant.
What about Rob from PlayStation Access gets all riled up about an old tennis game? I can't think what it was.
I think
because there's a new version of it coming to PS4 soon. And
a lot of people have kind of favourites of Virtua Tennis and all sorts of different licensed tennis games. There's been over the years as well. So
I think it is Virtua Tennis. He gets up about. I think it's that one.
Just to bounce back to something that we spoke about earlier. This is just a really lovely ad that's on Twitter from Nintendo of America, which says, "Hey Xbox, since we can play together in Minecraft now, did you want to build something?"
I'm sorry, are you looking at Twitter while we're recording?
I'm looking at the advert and just thinking.
Are you distracting yourself while we're trying to talk about tennis? I
saw this advert and I thought, that's lovely. Yeah,
I know that tennis is boring, but
you're boring.
Yeah,
Paddy's wrong.
Paddy's right. What's next?
It's that game.
That one. So next year we went to Shinya Takahashi in Kyoto, Japan at Nintendo Development Center, who said that was just a small portion of what we're currently working on.
Here's a man that doesn't age.
Here is the youngest looking experienced developer you will ever see, Masahiro Sakurai. Yeah, it's that one.
What do you think?
This was a deep dive.
Yeah.
If you're a Smash fan, I'd imagine you were like, nom nom. There's like no questions left to answer here.
This was not a deep dive as much as this was patch notes at one point.
I mean, everything is detailed, isn't it? Yeah. It turns out it will work with all previously released Smash pads, including the Wii U Smash controllers and original GameCube controllers too. Every previous fighter is in there. David Hayter returning to voice Snake.
It's mad.
I mean,
you got Bayo, you got Cloud, you got Snake, you got Mr. Game & Watch, you got everyone.
I mean, all credit to them. I mean, if you're a Smash Brothers player, there's no questions that you were left with after this, and it's not for me, but I tip my hat off to them for doing it. Also, we pointed out on Easy Allies, like, all credit to the person that edited that video, because there's little quirky bits and big moments and tiny little nuances for every single fighter that they revealed. Yeah. And that must have been a bellyache.
Do you know what my favourite one was? We've changed the Wii Fit trainer's face.
I didn't know.
Why did they put that? I've written that down with a question mark. Why was that worthy of comment?
But they've made a lot of changes that I've seen Smash fans discuss on analysis shows afterwards, where they've gone, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah, that's really cool, yeah, I'm not waiting for an hour for that to finish. So it seems, I mean, it's going to sell billions, isn't it?
And they've done the Tekken Tag way of doing a compilation fighter of like, which characters shall we have in it? Yes.
Blink guy goes, all of them. We're like, who said that?
Shut up.
Pub, bye.
I'm going to call David Hayter, hang on.
Smelt it, dealt it. Yeah.
Turns out Blink guy was David Hayter this whole time.
And there's the Shadow Moses stages back in there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, loads of returning stages. Lots
there
of
are Final Destination style modes as well, where they've got like flat ones with a set grid, so you can just play in the same grid for those pro ex gamers who don't like stage hazards.
Yeah, just it looks like they're throwing the kitchen sink at this, and they made a point that there's 10,000 changes over the Wii U and 3DS versions. I think they're obviously nervous of people thinking this is just a port of that game, which. If it is, I don't think there's any kind of contention that it deserves the ultimate title on the game.
Is one of the changes Pikachu no longer an arsehole?
Well, one of the changes is
female Pokemon hate knows no bounds.
Oh, Pikachu in those games is a pain in the arse. I hate fighting people who do Pikachus. They're fucking nightmares.
So one of the changes is female Pikachu and Libre Pikachu.
It's called Shikachu.
Sure.
No, that was terrible.
But they've introduced female variants of a few different characters as well, which is a nice touch.
I thought that was cool. I like the volume of characters. I think sells it for me. I mean, I haven't played a Smash properly since Brawl, the Wii one. When I still had the Wii, I love the shit out of Melee. Everybody loves Melee, don't they? And I enjoyed Brawl as well. You know, I enjoyed unlocking all the characters and sort of having fun with it. But I kind of, because I didn't have people to play it with so much, Laura doesn't really like Smash. And the online wasn't really for me. I went on a few times and got absolutely bodied by Marths. Which I learned in the mode where you can bet on people when you're watching them play. Always bet the Marth. Always bet the Marth. The Marth is the one who's going to win every single time. Always bet the Marth. So I kind of drifted away from the series, but like this looks like the sort of not feature heavy, but sort of character heavy, changed up, fresh. This is everything. Do you know you want everything? Here's everything.
And they've seemingly got an unlock system for the actual game as well. Like they're not all there from the start. They're going to have ways of making people play to get all the characters, and that's kind of neat.
Brilliant! You haven't got to wave a fucking toy near your machine to unlock a character. You can unlock it normally, like a normal human being.
So bitter.
Like a normal human.
So bitter.
Plastic DLC. I'm up for it. And they revealed a few new fighters, didn't they? You've got Daisy, who's other Peach.
Daisy and Ridley.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. Is Bomberman a support trophy or a character? They showed off Bomberman, definitely.
So they've got assist trophies, which there's more than 50, and each of them brings in a character, so Bomberman's one of those.
More importantly, still an assist character is fucking Waluigi. Give us our Waluigi playable character, you cowards.
Wow, you've just become Twitter.
Do you know what? I love Waluigi. I would love to play as Waluigi in Smash. I think it'd be a laugh.
Love Waluigi, hate people on Pokemon.
Wah. If we're playing Mario Party or any game where I can pick Waluigi, like Mario Kart, I'll pick Waluigi. I love Waluigi. What is he? He's so weird.
Waluigi's in it, but you need to buy the amiibo to unlock him.
Oh!
Eat it.
Wounded a third time. Thrice you have stabbed upon my body, sir.
Clearly I'm joking, but again, I would love it. Just
to fuck me off.
Well, just because what a Waluigi thing to do.
I saw someone say Waluigi should be a character, and if the Waluigi assist trophy comes up, he should go over to it, kick it off the stage, and carry on as himself. It's the most Waluigi thing you can do.
I've played very little Smash Brothers. Just never had the inclination or opportunity to play much. This looked like the sort of thing where I thought, I could see in December picking this up and giving it a whirl. Absolutely.
I think the volume of people they've got in it, and the fact that it's a massive bucket with all of it in there, is very, very attractive. I mean, I suppose it's the same reason people buy, just to throw it out there, like the Master Chief Collection, because it's all of it.
Yeah.
Here's all of it in one big pile, and you can mix it all together and have fun. Like, that's great. Good idea.
And I think for new players as well, they compared the starting roster to the N64 starting roster, so it's going to be that small. And they are thinking of and introducing interesting ways of unlocking characters, which I think is great for new players, because it means you can focus on a select core who hopefully are going to be kind of some that are easier to pick up, or at least representative characters you know and would want to try out. And then have players just gradually unlock, and every time you unlock a new character, it's a bit of an event. You can go and try them out, even if it's not like a single-player campaign style thing, it gives you something to aim towards to unlock other characters, all the while, hopefully, it'll incentivize you to try different characters, or try doing different things, like the assist trophies, or try playing on different stages, or, using Perfect Shield a number of times or whatever. It just seems like, they could get really creative with that stuff and really encourage people to discover the game.
As long as they don't hide any behind things that are really, really hard to do. Because I know I think it was Brawl that had I think it was Brawl that hid a few of them behind some quite difficult event challenges. Yeah. Melee had a couple as well like that. Like to unlock, I think it was Mewtwo, you had to beat the challenge where you've got a Ganondorf and a Giga Bowser, like a giant metal Bowser and a Mewtwo on your own, and I couldn't do it. I tried and I tried and I tried and I just couldn't do it. Just being able to unlock them normally like a normal person, like brilliant, and make them, maybe make us work for it, but don't make me jump through a hoop that's on fire made of spikes in the stratosphere. Just let me do something moderately challenging to get my guy.
I could see some of the community really responding to that, though, because obviously if you've unlocked a certain assist trophy or a certain character and you can then play with them online, that's a badge of honour in and of itself, isn't it? So,
suppose, but then this seems like an everyone and everything. Like,
yes,
you'd want everyone and everyone to have everything, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
totally. Like, here's the toy box, but you're not good enough. You can't have Cloud. You're not good enough. Wave an amiibo. You still can't have him.
I'd be alright with that, to be honest.
Yeah. So they've announced a couple of bonus characters. There's still probably some slots available, though, isn't there? Do we think Solaire's going to be in it?
Yeah. I think if there's an amiibo, there's a good chance of it. But it also means that if they are accepting characters from amiibos, that there's probably going to be more in that case.
Could be a Shovel Knight.
Oh,
Also, it does lean into the possibility of your Waluigi, especially if the internet wants it. So
Waluigi was robbed.
So
what did we think of the show?
It was odd pacing, but in the other way from Sony's. Like, it was started off quite good, and it's bang, 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 bang. I think we had a fair bit of interesting content for the first, 10 games or so, where there was enough to look and watch and talk about. Then they had here's 26 games in Quake, and then half an hour on Smash. Such a strange, pace to the show. And I think, 5 or 10 minutes into Smash, it's like, hang on, wait, is the rest of this direct going to be Smash? The rest of this direct is Smash. Oh my god. And at times it did. And there was some interesting stuff in that direct, don't get me wrong. But at times that middle bit was just patch notes. Like, they were just reading the notes for every character. Like, oh, this person does this a little bit different, and now this person has a new face. Like, no.
I can just imagine, somebody going to Blink Guy, what should we do? And he'd just look, just say all of it. It will stop anybody coming to us with questions. Just say all of it. Blink Guy, is that the first sensible thing you've ever said? Oh my god, I'm becoming a games developer. The evolution of Blink Guy.
So I had a weird situation watching this in its entirety about a week after it was actually first broadcast, in that I get the distinct impression if I'd watched this at the time it first aired, I would have been just as disappointed as everyone else on the internet seemed to be. But having that lowered expectation and knowing how many people thought this was just incredibly disappointing, I came to it and thought, no, you know what? Yeah, Smash, there was probably too much of it, but it looked interesting. It piqued my interest, certainly. Out of the sizzle reel, I kind of feel like I'd struggle to think of someone who wouldn't find a game in amongst there that they're interested in. And alright, 1 out of 26 isn't exactly a stellar hit rate, but, you know, they didn't waste a lot of time looking at every game. They just said, here's some stuff. And then the stuff that they did kind of focus on a little bit more, I'll probably only end up playing 1 or 2 of them, but out of things that I found that were interesting to watch, they were probably on about a 50-50 hit rate. And that's better than some of the other conferences. And yeah, as I said, as a metric for a good conference, number of games is not fantastic and not representative in any stretch, but for people saying this was all Smash, they had twice as many games as Sony, and sure, people are going to say, yeah, but every game at Sony interested some people. You know, you could say they picked quality over quantity. I preferred this to Sony's. I'm that guy, I'm afraid.
You know, I think this conference washed over me a bit at the time, but the more I've thought about it and the more that I've dived in within our conversation and sort of researching a few extra bits before I recorded, the more sort of succinct I think it was. It gives Switch owners loads to be going at for the near future, and with surprises and stuff they were expecting, and yeah, it's just in retrospect, I think it was a better conference than I thought it was at the time. But yeah, exciting times.
I will say, obviously, the first year of Switch had Breath of the Wild at launch, Mario Odyssey at the end of the year, and a good sprinkling of other first party / second party, I guess, with Mario plus Rabbids. A good sprinkling of other games, plus the indie stuff was coming out. And this year, in terms of that first party stuff, doesn't look as stacked. And how could it be after those 2 games last year, in particular? So I do hope that next year Nintendo come out swinging with Metroid Prime 4, I guess, is the other one that's likely to grab your old-time Nintendo fans quite as keenly as did Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. But in the meantime, even if it is a Super Mario Party and a Smash, those are not games to be sniffed at in terms of sellers.
Don't forget Pokemon either.
And yeah, heck, crikey, I'm looking at it on the screen at the moment and I've just completely ignored it. Those are big sellers. Those are big sellers.
Yeah,
for
there's
Nintendo.
a lot of individual niches sort of alongside those as well. So I think it's becoming
fleshing out
quite a little system.
It's fleshing out because we've got indies and we've got tentpole Mario and Zelda game. It's fleshing out those other areas where there aren't. You know, the same as getting a Mario Kart on there last year. Yeah, sure, it was the Wii U version. A lot of people didn't play Wii U at all, let alone that Mario Kart. And having it in its final, most complete version on Switch makes sense. And yeah, if they're just filling in those gaps, getting out some of the indies people have been looking forward to, like Octopath Traveler, although technically not an indie, but you know, that kind of niche title, as you say. Hollow Knight, and then some of the stuff that's in that sizzle reel. Yeah, I think this is good. It does bother me that I haven't played my Switch that much for the past kind of 6 months after Binding of Isaac came out. I feel like I've not really touched it as much, whereas obviously the first half of last year was just about all Switch. That was what I was playing. But this set of games does give me confidence that I could go back to the Switch and sink some time into catching up with a few things I've missed and a few things that are coming. So yeah,
it's certainly the first place that I'll look to with regards to indies, because I know that, you know, if I do have sort of a big train journey, or I just fancy kind of playing some games in bed, or I want to sort of go to a coffee shop, or that
you're dancing around it, or have a poo.
No, I'd never do that. I'm classier than all of you.
Massive swathes of the internet disagree with you.
Never do that. But to have a library of games like that available to take with me on the fly makes it my first choice for stuff like that. I mean, one of my favourite games ever, Lumines, is getting a new version next week, and I'll be picking up the Switch version just simply because I can lie in bed and play that. I'd love that game to pieces.